So you may be asking yourself, Sutton, what are you doing? And I'm here to tell you that I'm just about done spinning all of my sheep's fiber from last year. And it's taken me about a year to get to this point. You know, last year they were sheared and I washed their wool and I brushed their wool and I picked through their wool and then I spun their wool. You know, for a long time I felt like I was in a never-ending cycle of fiber and more fiber and that I would never get through it, and it's just so crazy that here I am and I'm literally spinning my last ball of yarn. Ah! Oh my god, it's done! Yay, 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 yay! It's so crazy. Number one, I have to put my yarn on a nitty knotty and like make it look pretty and presentable and washable, and then I have to wash all like 30 something balls of yarn. So I guess today we're just going to be finishing up the last bits of fiber processing that I have to take care of before I can crochet with yarn that I literally handmade this yarn. Anyway, let's just jump right into it and finish cleaning all of our yarn. Before I get into cleaning, I do have to prep my yarn. So I'm using what's called a nitty knotty, and I'm wrapping the yarn around the nitty knotty in V motions. That's what the yarn looks like. They look like little V's, and you just keep doing that until your yarn ball's done. Once I'm done wrapping up my yarn, I take little pieces of string and I wrap it around my yarn in figure 8 motions on each leg of the nitty knotty. So I should have my yarn wrapped up in these figure 8 motions in 4 different places. So once I take my yarn off of the nitty knotty, it's in a huge circle and it's fastened off in 4 different places, so nothing is going to get tangled up when I'm cleaning. And for storage, I just twist my yarn around and then insert one side of the yarn into the other side of the yarn to make this little skein. And now I have all 31 skeins of yarn ready to be cleaned. Welcome to my creepy basement. I'm down here so I can use my utility sink to wash the yarn, and I did a couple of test runs off camera, and this is just the method that I found works the best for my wool. I'm filling up my sink with some warm water, and I'm filling it up just enough to get all my skeins of yarn to fit and be submerged into the water. Once my sink is filled just enough, I'm going to untwist my yarn and then submerge it into the water. I typically will wash 5 or 6 skeins at a time. Anything more and it just gets a little unmanageable. 5 is a good manageable number for me and for my sink. Now I'm just submerging the yarn into the water, making sure all of the yarn is wet. And I have this awesome sprayable Dawn dish soap. So I'm just going to spray my yarn with soap. And I'm using Dawn dish soap because it pulls the oils out of things. My yarn still has a little bit more lanolin in it, and I'm really trying to get the rest of the lanolin out of my yarn. I'm making little scratching motions to make sure that every inch of that yarn has a little bit of soap on it. Now I'm just flipping over my yarn, coating it with some more soap, and making those scratching motions and making sure every inch of that yarn is getting clean. Then I'll let this sit here for 15 minutes, and occasionally I will come over and just agitate the yarn, really just making sure I'm drawing out all of the leftover oils. Once 15 minutes is over, I'm draining my sink. Look at all that leftover lanolin, and then I'm going to rinse off all of my yarn. You never want to wring out your yarn and twist your yarn, so I'm using this almost squeegeeing motion with my hands so that way I can get all the soap and all the excess water out of the yarn. Then I am just lightly filling my sink up one more time with just barely enough water. I just want to put some conditioner that I got at Marshall's over my yarn to make it nice and soft. I'm just conditioning my yarn. Again, I really want to make sure every inch of that yarn is nice and clean and conditioned. And I'm going to flip my yarn over and condition the other side, and again make my little scratchy moments to make sure all the yarn is coated. Then I'll let it sit there for a minute, maybe 2 minutes if I'm eating a snack, and then I will drain my sink. And this will be the last rinsing of the yarn, so I want to make sure my water pressure is nice and forceful so that way I can just squeegee out all the excess soap and whatnot from the yarn. So again, I'm just rinsing off my yarn. I'm not wringing it. I'm doing my little squeegee motion to get out all the excess water and soap. So once the yarn is clean, it's time to dry the yarn. So I just put the yarn over a clothes hanger. I hang it up on this nice little tree I have outside. And you want to weigh down the yarn with just a little weight. Some people use soup cans. I found that the soup cans would just fall out of the yarn. So I'm just using an umbrella to give the yarn a little bit of weight so that way it dries nice and straight. So that's how I clean my yarn. Once it's all dry, I'll show you what the next step is. Because there's always another step.
Can I photobomb it?
Sure. All right, so it's about 6 o'clock. These bad boys have been drying all day, and here's how I finish it off. So we're gonna grab some yarn, and as you can see, it's tied in a circle. We are going to twist the yarn, and there's 2 openings where my hands are at the ends of either circle. We're just gonna let the yarn twist around itself, and I will just insert one side of the circle inside the other side to create a little knot. And there we go. We have some yarn. Here's the thing, I just don't think you guys understand the magnitude of what this very skein of yarn means to me, what all of these skeins of yarn means to me. I have been processing wool and working on this product for a little over a year, and I'm here. I'm at the finish line. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to make, and I made it. All the different things that I had to learn, all the different techniques that I have to learn to make this. This is what it's all about. This. And yeah, it's getting windy. I'm sure the audio isn't good anymore. Anyway, you know the drill. Like and subscribe, and let me know what I should make with all of my literally handmade yarn. Goodbye.